Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. The concentric jade seemed to be stimulated by the people from the research sky court who willingly channeled their primal chi and cultivation into it. When the elders from the sky martial court saw this, they shook their heads. Perhaps, this is the chance God has given us to atone for our sins. Who owed Luo Xian the most in the world? The answer was undoubtedly the sky martial court. He shook his head and sighed. About 10 elders standing behind he sighed one after another as well. The sky martial court truly owed Luo Xian too much. Zhou did not stop the people from channeling their primal chi or cultivation into the concentric jade. With the support of the people from the Sky Research Court, the concentric jade finally accumulated enough energy. It was like a ripple on the calm surface of a lake as the energy surged into Luo Xian's body. Buzz. A dazzling red lotus appeared under Luo Xian's feet. At the same time, the people from the Sky Research Court felt a powerful energy rushing toward them. They staggered back and fell to the ground, drenched in sweat, as they looked at Luo Xian. Following that, the red lotus began to spin. 1 leaf. 2 leaves. 3 leaves. It spun as it sprouted leaves. 4 leaves. 5 leaves. 6 leaves. This. Apart from Zhou, everyone present on the scene was thoroughly baffled. They had never seen a lotus sprouting so many leaves in such a short time. Although Kong's cultivation base was not low before, they could feel her cultivation base was rising way above what it was. 7 leaves. 8 leaves. The red lotus did not stop sprouting leaves. Even little Yuan could not help but feel slightly envious. The little junior sister whom she usually took care of and taught had caught up with her in such a short time. After the 8th leaf sprouted, the red lotus spinning speed increased slightly, it did not stop. 9 leaves. Everyone held their breaths as they watched this miraculous scene. Zhou also did not expect his youngest disciple would end up being the one who improved the fastest. Although he was mentally prepared, he was still slightly taken aback by this. However, the surprise did not end there. The red lotus did not disappear. All of a sudden, the red lotus burst into flames. A hint of blue could be seen streaking across the red flames. Everyone cried out in surprise once again, karmic fire. It's a red lotus with karmic fire. After reaching the 9-leaf stage, a cultivator would have a chance of obtaining and mastering the karmic fire. Cultivators who had mastered the karmic fire would undoubtedly possess the strength to crush their peers. It was like a boost. This time, even Zhenghai and Yuan'er were a little envious. They had once claimed they were invincible among 8-leaf cultivators when they were at the 8-leaf stage. Now that they had reached the 9-leaf stage, they still hoped to be invincible among 9-leaf cultivators. However, how could they be invincible among their peers when they did not possess the karmic fire? Unless one possessed the karmic fire, one would never be able to understand the karmic fire even if one were able to study it. When the karmic fire burned, it emitted a formidable energy. Zhou was reminded of the scene in the Skywheel Rift Canyon when he saw this. At that time, he had activated all his defenses and protective energy but was still unable to block the scorching heat of the lava. If Leaf did not appear in time, he might have lost even more of his critical block cards. Zhou's thoughts strayed as he wondered if the lava was also karmic fire. Whose karmic fire was it then? He was pulled back to his senses when a familiar noise rang in the air. He looked up and saw Luo Xian's red lotus had sprouted its 10th leaf. A 10-leaf red lotus with the karmic fire. Everyone was understandably shocked. Unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. Even if she possesses Luo Xian's concentric jade now, it's impossible for her to sprout 10 leaves in such a short time. This doesn't make sense. Zhou muttered to himself. Wang Dachui, who was standing nearby, laughed. What's so shocking about this? What's impossible? Aren't all of you geniuses? What's so strange or impossible if a genius who's able to sprout 10 leaves in a short time appears? If you think about it, it's not strange at all. Indeed. The geniuses from the Sky Research Court were often called lunatics. They had created miracles when many people said it was impossible. It seemed like they were not used to it now that someone else was creating the miracle. Zhou looked at the red lotus with the karmic fire. His heart was unusually calm as 4 words appeared in his mind. The Great Void Seeds. Apart from the 10-leaf cultivation base, Luo Xian had the Great Void Seed. With the help from the Sky Research Court and the elders from the Sky Research Court, it was not surprising she had reached the 10-leaf stage. However, he did not expect Luo Shirin would obtain the karmic fire. At this moment, Luo Shirin slowly opened her eyes. Her gaze swept across the Sky Martial Court, and an inexplicable sense of familiarity welled up within her. She lowered her head and looked at her body. Her clothes, hair, arms, 5 fingers. She discovered everyone was looking at her as well. Luo Shirin felt as though she had slept for a long time and had just woken up from a dream and returned to reality. She was aware now that she was Luo Shirin, not Conk. She was the little girl whom Luo Xian raised. After who knew how much time had passed, little Yuan called out tentatively, "Conk? Little junior sister? 9th senior sister?" Luo Shirin turned to look at little Yuan. Her eyes seemed to lose their darkness as she did so. "Luo Shirin," Lu Zhou said. Although her appearance had changed drastically and Conk was no longer Conk, a child would always be a child in his eyes. Lu Zhou's voice seemed to cause Luo Shirin to regain her senses. The red lotus under her feet disappeared, and she descended on the ground. Then, she kneeled respectfully and said, "Master. Do you remember now?" Lu Zhou asked. Luo Shirin revealed a smile and nodded. "Yes. That's good. Rise," Lu Zhou said. "Thank you, Master." Luo Shirin rose to her feet and straightened her back before she turned around slowly and bowed at the people from the Sky Research Court. "Thank you, everyone." "You're welcome," Huang Yu took the lead and waved his hand. "It's nothing." Lu Zhou took out a delicate ancient zither and said, "I'll return this to its original owner." The people of the Sky Research Court stared at Lu Zhou in shock. "It's the 9-string zither." Someone laughed. It's truly the 9-string zither. No one had seen it before, they had only heard of it. However, when the people from the Sky Research Court saw it, they recognized it immediately. Wang Dachui moved closer to it as he said in a daze, "It's the 9-string zither." Xia Chengqiu said, surprised, "Rumor has it that the most perfect weapon the Sky Research Court had created is called the 9-string zither. Is this it?" The zither was very exquisite and small. It was hard to imagine that it was the most perfect weapon the Sky Research Court had ever created. Huang Yu asked, "Why is the 9-string zither with Senior Lu?" "I took it back from Jiang Wenxiu," Lu Zhou replied honestly. So, it was really Jiang Wenxiu. That bastard thief. The people from the Sky Research Court were furious when they heard these words. He Zhong scoffed before he said, with Jiang Wenxiu's ability, he wasn't capable of stealing the 9-string zither. "I'm afraid Yizhen had a hand in the matter. Apart from Yizhen, I can't think of anyone who could steal the 9-string zither. Birds of a feather flock together. It's our fault for being careless. We shouldn't have given Yizhen the 9-string zither to admire. This ending is pretty good. If the 9-string zither was not stolen, I'm afraid Yu Chenshu would have destroyed it long ago." Everyone nodded upon hearing these words. When Luo Shirin touched the 9-string zither, she recalled when she had first seen it. She felt her heart stir. With a flick of her finger, a drop of blood fell on the zither. Ding! The 9-string zither has acknowledged its owner. Owner, Luo Shirin. Grade, Flood Grade. Reward, 1,500 merit points. Later, I will bestow you with a piece of the pilgrim song, Lu Zhou said. Little Yuan lifted her head and curiously asked, "Master, aren't you tone deaf? Are you knowledgeable about music as well?" Silence. Lu Zhou glanced at little Yuan. At this moment, many flying beasts appeared in the sky. There were so many of them that it seemed like they had covered the sky. However, there were no huge beasts. The fierce beasts are here due to the sprouting of the ninth leaf earlier. Leave it to us. Huang Yu said energetically. After all, these people had not fought for a long time. However, Luo Shirin said, leave it to me. That's good as well. We want to watch. Huang Yu said. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. Go. Luo Shirin tapped her feet on the ground and flew up into the sky. Compared to Conk of the past, her temperament was completely different. Conk's naivete and childishness were replaced with confidence and perseverance. Her eyes were particularly bright and determined. They were really similar to Luo Xian's eyes. The 9-string zither appeared and hovered in front of Luo Shirin. It was shrouded in red energy. Then, she lifted her jade-like hands and pressed on the strings. Her hands swept across the zither, her fingers skillfully plucking the 9 strings. The tune echoed in the air, and the red energy rippled out into the surroundings. The red soundwave reaped the lives of the flying beasts within a 100-meter radius of the literary stargate. The flying beasts began to drop like flies from the sky. Following that, Luo Shirin waved her jade-like hands, and the 9-string zither disappeared. When everyone lifted their heads, they saw that the sky was clear. There were no signs of the flying beasts. The blue sky stretched as far as the eye could see. The flying beasts were gone just like that? Was she not too strong? With the power of the 9-string zither, Luo Shirin, who was now a 10-leaf karmic fire user, easily killed the flying beasts in the sky above the literary stargate with just one move. At the same time, she broadcast a message to the beasts, telling them not to approach or attack. The effect was strange. Everyone looked at the beautiful woman in disbelief. Meanwhile, the people from the Sky Research Court felt as though they could see Luo Xian's shadow in her. She was proficient in music and the tongue of beasts. If she was not Luo Xian, then who was she? Huang Yu moved to stand in front of Luo Shirin as his body trembled. Although the woman in front of him did not look like Luo Xian, he still called out, Luo Xian? A faint smile appeared on her face as she said, my name is Luo Shirin. Luo Xian is my mother. Everyone's eyes lit up. Time passed, and the past had turned into a cloud of smoke. Perhaps, life was just a cycle that repeated itself over and over again. The word mother was meaningful, and it reflected Luo Shirin's feelings best at this moment. The letter Lu Zhou had read had also entered her mind. No matter what her background was, the person who raised her possessed grace that surpassed her parents. She could, perhaps, sever her fingers or her head to return them to her parents for the grace of giving birth to her. However, for Luo Xian's grace of raising her and taking care of her, it would be difficult to return the grace even if she had 100 lives to live. Therefore, she thought it was appropriate to call Luo Xian her mother. After a beat, Luo Shirin turned around and looked at Zhenghai and the others before she said, greetings, eldest senior brother. When Zhenghai regained his senses, he said with a smile, there's no need to be so polite, Conk. It should be little junior sister Luo Shirin. Eldest senior brother, you can call me Conk. Alright, Zhenghai said. Then, Conk moved to Shangrong's side. She was so tall now that she had almost reached the bridge of his nose. She greeted him, greetings, second senior brother. This change in temperament and appearance made Shangrong felt awkward. However, they were fellow disciples after all. So he replied indifferently, okay. Subsequently, Conk moved to stand in front of little Yuan and called out, ninth senior sister. Little Yuan said with an embarrassed expression on her face, you look older than me now. Why don't I call you senior sister from now on? In terms of cultivation base, little Yuan felt she was now inferior to Conk. In terms of physique in conclusion, she felt as though she had been soundly defeated in all aspects. Outwardly, she remained courteous. However, inwardly, she was rather thrown off by this incident. She promised herself not to play around anymore and to diligently cultivate from now on. Zhenghai shook his head and sighed. The boat of friendship had disappeared just like that. Life was truly unpredictable. Conk held little Yuan's hand before she said, "Ninth senior sister, what are you talking about? You joined the evil sky pavilion earlier than I did. How can we break the rules like that? Moreover, you protected me in the past, so I'll protect you in the future. I only relied on my mother to gain such strength. In fact, you're much stronger than I am." Little Yuan found these words really pleasing to the ears. She laughed before she said, "All right, then. Little junior sister, you're the best." Zhenghai was taken aback. The boat of friendship had returned again just like that? He shook his head, thinking to himself that women were, indeed, fickle creatures. Zhou nodded his head in satisfaction. Although Conk had obtained Luo Xian's strength and possessed the Great Void Seed, her origin was still unclear. The unknown place, could it be the Great Void? The memories from the memory crystal appeared in his mind again. He recalled black lotuses falling from the sky one after another and the sensation of dangerous auras hidden in all directions. Zhou tried his best to recall how the unknown place looked, but all he saw was a dark place. "Congratulations, Senior Lu. Congratulations, Brother Lu." Everyone bowed and congratulated Zhou. Zhou nodded and said, "We'll stay on Sky Marshal Mountain for a few days." "Yes." He quickly ordered his men, "Hurry up and get people to make the preparations. Discard the old furniture and prepare new ones. Wait. Don't forget our comrades from the Sky Research Court as well." Huang Yu and the others only glanced at the people from the Sky Marshal Court. They would be moved just because of such a small thing. At night, Zhou's accommodation was in Literary Star Hall. After the Sky Marshal Court had such a close brush with death, they had no choice but to serve Zhou wholeheartedly with all their might. On the contrary, the members of the Sky Research Courts were like the masters now. They washed up, changed their clothes, and enjoyed themselves. This was what they deserved. After 100 years of being imprisoned, oppressed, and living a life that was not fit for a human, it was considered good that this was their only reaction. It had to be said that it was also for Zhou's sake that they did not cause too much trouble. At this moment, Zhou sat cross-legged in the middle of the hall. He used the purple glazed ceramic and meditated upon the heavenly scroll writing to replenish his extraordinary power. Disciple greets master. Conk had changed into an elegant robe that was a better fit for her. Her hair was tied up in a bun. Her eyes were bright, and her teeth were white. She walked to the middle of the hall and kneeled in front of Zhou. Zhou opened his eyes. "Rise to your feet and speak." Conk rose to her feet and said, "Master, I didn't mean to disturb you so late in the night." Zhou noticed a hint of determination in Conk's eyes that wasn't previously there before her transformation. He was a little unused to it. Moreover, her gaze spoke of farewell as though she was about to leave. He did not dwell on the matter. Maybe his intuition was wrong, or maybe he was just overthinking things. Nevertheless, his expression remained unchanged as he said, "If you have something to say, say it." Conk said, "Master, I want to go to that unknown place." Silence descended in the hall. Zhou maintained his posture. He continued to sit cross-legged as his hands rested on his left and right lap respectively. After a while, he looked at Conk and said, "You've grown up." Conk remained silent. Zhou continued to say, "When I took you in, you were young and didn't know how to distinguish right from wrong. Now that you've grown up, I'll give you another chance." Conk shook her head and kneeled again. "Master, I don't dare. That's not my intention. Luo Xian once wanted me to be her master. I saw that her temperament had yet to stabilize, so I didn't accept her. She's your mother, so you're indebted to her. You should listen to her wishes and call me master. However, the rules of the Evil Sky Pavilion can't be broken. Since you've entered the Evil Sky Pavilion, you have to follow the rules of the Evil Sky Pavilion," Zhou said indifferently. "I just want to go to the unknown place to have a look." Zhou raised his voice slightly as he asked, "You want to investigate your background?" Once again, the scene of the black lotuses falling from the sky appeared in his mind. No wonder Conk's eyes brimmed with determination. "Yes. Then? Disciple only wants to bid farewell to master. I want to thank master for teaching me, Conk said. Zhou looked at Conk as he shook his head and said with a sigh, I understand why you feel the need to investigate your background. However, do you have the capability to do that? I have 10 leaves. I'm confident, Conk replied. Conk, who had grown up, was different from the past. She was no longer naive. Zhou slowly rose to his feet. With just 10 leaves, you're confident? I hope master will agree. I'm confident. If master disagrees, Conk hesitated. Impudent, Zhou said in a dark voice. He raised his wizened hand, blue lights shone from his fingers. Abandoned wisdom shot out from his hand toward Conk. When Conk raised her head and saw this scene, she was not afraid. On the contrary, her gaze grew even more determined. She raised both her hands as karmic fire surged out of them. Swoosh! Conk's palm directly collided with the palm seals. Seeing the determination in Conk's eyes, Zhou pressed on. Boom! When her palms collided with abandoned wisdom and the power had dissipated, Zhou launched another palm seal. Bang! Conk leaned back and jumped half a foot into the air before she flew higher up. Her arms were numb, and her blood chi roiled in her body. Her eyes widened in disbelief. She was defeated with just one move? Do you think you've grown wings just because you've sprouted 10 leaves? Zhou walked out of the literary star hall with his hands on his back. The commotion had attracted Zhenghai, Shangrong, and little Yuan's attention. In just a moment, the trio appeared outside of the hall. Junior's sister? Conk staggered a few steps when she landed, barely able to stabilize her footing. Zhou looked at the trio and said somewhat angrily, no one's allowed to interfere. Whoever interferes will be expelled from the Evil Sky Pavilion. The trio originally wanted to help her or plead on her behalf. However, upon hearing their master's words, they stood motionlessly in their spots and did not dare to move. Conk was still in disbelief. She found it hard to accept that she was defeated with just one move. She knew her master was very strong, but she was still surprised by the extent of his strength. Perhaps, one would only understand her emotions after they had fought with her master. The moon illuminated Zhou's figure as he looked at Conk and said, I'm very disappointed in you. Thud. Conk fell to her knees immediately and kowtowed. I know my mistakes. Please forgive me, master. Ding. Mission completed. Reward, 5,000 merit points. Ding. Unlocked, Disciple, Luo Shireen. Ding. Disciplined Luo Shireen. Reward, 1,000 merit points.